Hello and welcome to another episode of MMOFTW here on MMORPG.com. I'm your host, Bill Murphy, and this is the week that was in MMO news. Quite a bit happened this week. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, but it feels like we're actually ramping up to show season because games that are coming out in 2015 and even so far away as 2016 are actually starting to talk again. So let's get right to it with Skyforge. Skyforge is one of those games that's due to hit the beta and open beta periods sometime early this year. I think they're starting to make a lot more noise because they're ready to start letting people see things. But in any case, they announced what they call the Pantheon System, which is their own guild system. They have subgroups called clans, which are headed by commanders, and each of those shares equal power with the leader, with the sole exception that they cannot kick the leader out of the Pantheon. By subdividing the Pantheon this way, the leader is absolved of having to keep track of every individual and can delegate responsibilities. It's kind of nice to see a game have that sort of forethought with its guild system, and see exactly just letting the officers have power and things like that. It's kind of nice. In addition to this, there are also what they call Pantheon-based missions to run, and you complete these missions and help expand the number of members a Pantheon can have up to a maximum of 150. So your own little Pantheon or guild may start off rather small, but as part of the guild progression system, you can actually increase your membership by doing guild missions. This encourages group play and doing things together and working towards things. There are other different reasons to level up within your Pantheon, and they'll be going over those shortly. But there are actually, and this is going to be a nice one for players to hear who are fond of this feature in games, the few games that do have it, but there are going to be strongholds or guild halls. There are several levels of construction for these guild halls: Pantheon chambers, a champion tower, power sources, a distortion analyzer, and an academy. Now, what are all of those? We'll see. Each section of the stronghold directly benefits the Pantheon in any one of several ways. For instance, using the Distortion Analyzer, Pantheon leaders can more accurately pinpoint alien bases. Alien bases are bases that you can actually attack as a guild. And lastly, the Pantheon Wars are detailed, although not fully previewed. These are 100 versus 100 battles. 50 players are sent on a PvP missions, and 50 other players are sent on PvE trials. Victories in these Pantheon Wars allow the winner to control territory in the Skyforge universe and can earn members costumes, mounts, and much more. Now, what all that means for this whole Pantheon War system, because it was only briefly hinted at in this update, we're going to find out soon, but it is supposed to be the sort of endgame system for Skyforge. It's the kind of thing that you all want to take part in once you've leveled up to the status of God in Skyforge. So I think that's really cool. It's probably the first time that something's come out for Skyforge that's actually really piqued my interest, other than the shiny graphics and excellent combat. It was starting to seem like just another MMO, which isn't to say that it's bad. It's just, we've had plenty of those. This whole Pantheon system seems a lot more in depth than what I was expecting, so we'll have our own preview of that as soon as we're able. And in Guild Wars 2 news, the Revenant was officially detailed and revealed via the Guild Wars 2 site, via Polygon, and of course via ourselves, as we unveiled 4 new weapon skills that are coming with the Revenant. The Revenant is a really cool class. It is the 3rd heavy armored class or profession in Guild Wars 2. As you might be aware, there are 3 light, 3 medium, and there have only ever been 2 heavies. Now there's a 3rd heavy coming with the Heart of Thorns expansion, and this Revenant, the very first one in Tyria is actually Ritlock Brimstone. He went into the mist during Season 2 of The Living World, and when he came back out, as we saw briefly in the trailer for Heart of Thorns, he is this new profession. He's the Revenant, who channels the legendary figures of the mist, the legendary heroes, demons, and agnostic type heroes from the mist, from the history of Tyria. And you basically slot them as weapons on your character, and you swap between them, and they give you different stances, different powers, and different abilities. A little bit like the Elementalist or Engineer swapping out weapon kits, only you do this with the F1 key. It's really cool, really interesting. There's a lot of different information out there already. You can head over to the site to read more about it. But in any case, it certainly seems like they found a great way to have a brand new, different profession in Guild Wars 2 that doesn't seem at all anything like any of the other ones so far. The fact that we'll be able to have Jalis Ironhammer and Malix the Demon as part of our characters from Guild Wars 1 lore is cool in and of itself. So We are visiting Seattle next week, and then we'll be able to have some hands-on with this class, this new profession, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So keep your eyes peeled to the site. I think in early March is when we'll be able to talk about our visit to Seattle. So keep your eyes peeled. We'll be coming back with lots of preview goodies for Guild Wars 2 Heart of Thorns soon. And in Crowfall news, because geez Louise, these guys can't stop talking about their game as they lead up to their countdown, we found out this past week that Crowfall and Artcraft Entertainment have licensed the Voxel farm technology, but unlike games like Minecraft, Trove, or even Landmark, they're not doing it so much that you're going to be creative and build with these things. You're going to use the Voxel farm technology to make the worlds entirely destructible, so that the siege warfare between these hunger-ravaged worlds will be interesting. Think about breaking down any wall in a tower, not just one that's set to break down. Think about digging a tunnel underneath the ground so that you can get under the walls of a tower and sneak up behind your enemies. Think about seeing a tower with filled with archers and mages that you can't quite get to, but if you use your siege engines and take out the tower and send it crumbling to the ground, well, then I don't think those mages and archers will be standing there very much longer. A new class was also, new archetype as they're calling it, was also unveiled. And a whole bunch of other stuff. It's the Elven Frostweaver, and I'm going to probably mispronounce this. It's called the Guinnessian Duelist. It's like this little tiny hamster-looking thing that I'm probably going to play and annoy the heck out of our own Mike Bitten with, because he hates small races and stuff like that in MMO, so I'm probably going to have to be one of those and chase him around and make sure I annoy him. But in any case, we do have a lot of good stuff coming up for Crowfall. Believe it or not, our own Garrett Fuller, Hive Leader, and Red Thomas were in Austin, Texas this past week, and we will be unveiling what we learned about Crowfall, including hands-on and video with the game, this coming Tuesday. So keep your eyes peeled for that one too. See, everything's happening, folks. We finally have stuff to talk about. And in some business news, it seems that NCSoft and Netmarble have formed a deal over in Korea to stop Nexon, the publishing giant over in Korea, from doing a hostile takeover of NCSoft. It's kind of interesting. I'm just going to read you what we wrote about it. So NCSoft has signed a new deal with Netmarble in an effort to stave off a potential hostile takeover attempt by one of its largest shareholders, Nexon. With the stock trade between the two gaming companies, NCSoft has erected a shield against Nexon. Now, last week we reported that the tension between Nexon and NCSoft was mounting, and that the potential for aggressive action on the part of Nexon existed due to differences in each company's philosophy with regard to management and the future of the online gaming industry. So it's still not 100% clear exactly how this is going to work, but basically, if NCSoft and Netmarble have enough shares and partner together to kind of stave off Nexon from taking over the largest amount of shares in the company, then you won't see NCSoft suddenly turning into a clone of Nexon anytime soon. I know everybody gives NCSoft flack for what they do to games and how they've shut down games in the past, but they're still one of the, I think, the brightest publishers out there that still believe in the MMORPG. So if anything, I would really, really hope that NCSoft can stay away from being taken over by Nexon. And last but not least, of course not least, World of Warcraft's patch 6.1 is heading to live servers on February 24th. That's just 3 days from this recording. It will bring things like the different support for those that are colorblind, Twitter integration so you can post your Blood Elf selfies, Heirlooms collection tabs, the updated Blood Elf models that everybody's been waiting for, improvements to existing character models, that's right, even more improvements to the already improved models, and anti-aliasing and lighting improvements. Now the patch also brings quest additions, character balance updates, garrison improvements and new features for the garrisons, a new legendary follower to get in the garrison, and the ability to summon a world boss to your garrison, and a whole lot more. It is the next big patch for World of Warcraft. However, it does not open that last zone we're all waiting for in Draenor, so we're just going to have to wait and keep doing our dailies and keep working on our legendary quest until we can get that final zone and see what they've got up their sleeves for that. You can read the full patch notes over on the World of Warcraft community site, and you can stay tuned to MMORPG.com for our own impressions once the patch goes live this week. that'll do it for me, folks. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of MMOFTW. Don't forget to tune in next week when we've got all this cool Crowfall stuff, and then the week after that will probably be all the cool Guild Wars stuff. It's happening. Finally, there's stuff to talk about. Don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Twitch at MMORPGcom without the dot. You can find us on Google Plus at MMORPGcom official, and you can follow me on Twitter at TheBillMurphy. Thanks again, and remember, don't let a bad pug get you down.